Oh, Saints fans and Who Dat Nation, we're live with the caveat. We're still kind of feeling some of the effects of Hurricane Francine earlier in the week. So, internet's a little spotty sometimes, might be a little delay, but just bear with us. But we don't really care because we beat the shit out of the Cowboys today, and that makes us feel good and not worried about spotty internet right now. So, how you doing tonight, Jason? Other than you're having trouble with your internet.
Uh, hey man, great. Survived. Got to watch the Black and Gold put on a show today. I know it's week 2, but as we sit here, I can comfortably say we're the best team in the NFL. We're the most put together squad on both sides of the ball right now. I don't think we're the most talented team, but I think we're the best team. That's at least through 2 weeks of the season, right? That's all we got to judge it on. You know, I'm not a fool to think that makes us the best team, but as of now, we are currently the best team in the NFL.
Let me put this in perspective for you because as another offshoot of the week we've had, I was just dragging this morning a little bit, and I'm like, I'm scared if I try to watch the game at home by myself, I'm gonna fall asleep. Believe it or not, I was that tired. So I went over to the brother-in-law, the sports accountant. I was like, "Here, you're gonna have to keep me awake," which didn't take long because once we got in the game flow, it was like, yeah, I was jacked. Adrenaline really kicked
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
But I told him late in the fourth quarter, right as the game was ending, to put this in perspective using fantasy football terms. I looked at him and said, "My God, I might have to bench Patrick Mahomes next week and start Derek Carr." That's how efficiently
Right,
good our
right.
offense is, and how I'm like that statement should never be made in a game. But like we
Yeah,
scored 91 points in 2 weeks. It's not even close in the
yeah.
NFL. Offenses are
It's
struggling, and we're just rolling. It's amazing. I didn't see this
uh,
coming.
same. Did not see it coming. We talked about, maybe a backup coming in, needing to push Carr to make him play better, but where we'll be when we go to the Chiefs and whatever it is, week 5, week 6. Man, I got to tell you that this feels like what we've seen with some of these other coaches that have come out underneath Shanahan or come out underneath McVay. They come in their first real year of running an offense with some talent, and they throw in some tricks, with some schemes. And man, I love it. Shout out to the O-line. O-line played unbelievable again. That's 2 weeks in a row. When we first got on here about a month ago, I guess, maybe a little bit before then, O-line was the biggest question that we had, right? And they have played well. They have showed out for 2 straight weeks.
Absolutely. Um, I think to your point, I was expecting this could happen eventually when we saw the first 2 weeks. I was hoping it would be at some point this season. I'm thinking, kind of a lot like last year, like late in the season, it'll finally start to come together. It'll look like it needs to look. Maybe that'll be enough. Um, but I would have fully expected it to maybe take a whole year before it took hold. I I wouldn't have bet a penny. I wouldn't have bet somebody else's money if they gave it to me on the fact that, hey, we're going to come out banging, just 2 bangers in a row on offense. Carolina, you kind of like, but against this team, this is a good football team. It's a playoff team, and they don't lose at home normally. And we pounded them. And I mean, our offense did
That's
whatever
right.
it wanted to do whenever it wanted to do it. And I'm like, I did not see that coming at all.
And look, I can tell you what I saw from when, they showed their sidelines. It looked a lot like what we saw at the game in Carolina, where a lot of confusion, a lot of it's you, or hey, let's go talk to coach. And coach is like, well, it's got to be one of y'all, but I'm not really sure yet. Like there was a lot of confusion on that sideline. I mean, poor Mike Zimmer. I mean, how many times did they show him? I feel like every 9-yard carry or big bomb that we drop on them, they had to show Mike Zimmer for 5-6 seconds. I don't know, man. I love that. We come out the gates like. I told somebody today, I was like, we come out the gates like pre-prison Tyson. Like we are coming out flying across the
Yeah,
ring and dropping knockout blows from the get-go. I mean, it's unbelievable.
absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
we're setting things up right, and everybody's going, oh man, they're averaging whatever 6-7 yards a carry. You know, it leaves the top off the defense, man, and it looks easy right now. And I'm here for it, bro.
Yeah, we're going to go through the stats in a second. We'll jump off. Let me grab this one for Northern Saint real quick. The last I heard on Taysom was pretty much on the Dennis Allen, what he dropped on the press conference, that was going for further imaging on his chest, and they thought it was precautionary, but DA didn't. He claimed he didn't know a lot what was going on, but DA's been very close to the vest when it comes to injuries this year. So I'm thinking we'll find out more in a couple of days, but until then, I'm hoping it's precautionary and everything's cool, and hopefully we'll have him back soon. And more to that point, something else, talk about Lattimore. I also saw when I saw the interview, sounds like Lattimore could have gone today, but it was DA's decision. And DA actually said this. He goes, I think Marshawn's pissed at me because I didn't let him play. But DA had decided that there was a possibility if he got on the field, he could, if it was a re-injure situation, it would be multiple weeks, and they think he should be back next week. So that was hold him, make sure. And as it turns out, we didn't need him anyway. And I'm looking what's coming next week going, man, that might have been the right decision after all. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. Next week, I think AJ Brown is a, kind of up in the air week to week right now. I would like to see us tested against them at full strength. But if Lattimore's a little hobbled, he's a little hobbled, then fair game.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'm waiting for a show where I'm not so positive, but right now it's hard to not be positive. You know what I mean? I watched the game with my 8-year-old, and man, I've never seen him so jacked up at home. It's just, we've had our talks about the Cowboys and why we do not cheer for the Cowboys. And, he got into it, and it's easy to get into right now. It's not like waiting for something to happen or waiting, or when's the turnover coming, or it's everything's on point. Everybody's doing their job. Everybody has kind of said, hey, if we put all this together while in the right spot at the right time, things are going to be good for us. And I mean, where we at 91 points in 2 weeks, that's unbelievable,
Nuts. And I'm going to go back to what you were, before we jump into this, go back to what you were talking about when they were putting the cameras on the coaches and the players. And it was a loss of it. To me, I think they were looking like we looked like last year when Detroit and the Rams jumped all over us from the get-go. And we're sitting there, what in the hell is going on, with no real answer. It was long time since we've seen the Saints be able to do that, because back in the day we used to do that a lot. And this scheme, this play call, and it's all married together. And I think Carr talked about this a little bit in his post game, especially as it pertains to him, that Kubiak's kind of done a good job of figuring out what people like and what they can do. And even Carr said specifically, he's asked me to do some stuff that I don't like, but he's given me the ability to go to him and say, but I do like this. Can we work it in? Because Kubiak said when he originally showed up, his job was to marry his scheme to the players that were available. And it sounds like he did it and did it very quickly. Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to say on that is I remember when I first started this channel and I had to do the deep dive in what the hell is the wide zone scheme with the West Coast passing game, because they talk about it, but I was like, I don't really know what it is. In one of the videos I saw very early, because I had to dive in a deep YouTube black hole for a while before I could finally start understanding a lot of this stuff. But one of the videos I saw was a very short video with Brian Billick, the ex-Ravens coach, who he was kind of explaining the difference. It was only like 2 or 3 minutes long. It was real quick. But he said, ultimately, if you want me to run the gap scheme, give me great players. If you want me to run a zone scheme, give me great coaches. And the more I look at this team, I'm going, holy crap, I think he nailed it on the head with that, because we built this coaching staff who seems to have, my worry, what I said earlier, was expecting this later in the year, if we were lucky, if not next year, was how do you pump this much information of a totally, completely brand new scheme for a lot of players get them all on the same page like you're talking about, to get them all in such a short span of time, basically from March to you kick off in September. I guess you assemble a coaching staff like this who's able to get, and when they go, they're not quite getting it this way, but we can, I'm suspecting they could massage some stuff and go, okay, it's not quite with the way we really want to run it, but if we tried to do that, it's square peg, round hole. These guys can't do it. Let's adjust it to what they can do. Scheme the game that way. Play call that way. Anti-Pete Carmichael on so many levels. I think that's why we're all skittish about how successful this is, you know?
And look, I love that the guys that are touching the ball are the guys that should be touching the ball. I mean, I have shouted about that inside the dome for years now, that we drop all these dudes in there and give them the ball, 5, 6, 7 times a game, scheme plays for them, kill drives, punt. Man, we started the first 4 plays today, and I think our top 4 guys touched the ball. I think it was Kamara, Taysom, Shaheed Olave. I don't know. I feel like they went in and they kind of said, okay, these are the guys that can make plays for us. We're gonna, it's kind of like the new age in baseball, right? You want your guy at the top of the lineup that you want to get the most at bats at the end of the year. It's not so much of what type of hitter they are, be more and how they fit in and what they could do, type of thing. And I think we're doing that with our team, and I think they started up front, and they get our guys going, man. They go together when we make those big runs, those big 7, 8, 9 yard carries. And they're helping each other out. They're kind of in lockstep. It's fun to watch right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think they have definitely they went into the room and said, "This is what these guys do best. Let's build an offense around them." And it comes with that type of offense that we have seen them run, that we've seen, San Francisco be successful with, that we've seen Atlanta be successful with when he was there. It's fun, man. It's always fun. They've always put up a lot of points. The question was, will it work here? It's always felt like the team where fun things go to die. We could go into players that we were like, "Ooh, he's going to be fun in Sean's offense," and he gets in, and it's like, "Who's this guy?" Right? So
the list is long.
Which is kind of crazy because we probably are the funnest city in the NFL. So it's a little wild that that we kill the fun sometimes with players we get, but this is fun, man. I love it. It's exciting. What I asked earlier, I think I saw something today. We have scored 15 straight drives, or we did score 15 straight drives to start the season. It's unreal.
Well, good segue, because let's go into some numbers from today's game. And that was the first thing I did when I got home. Was like, I have to look at time of possession, how many plays everything took to score, because we scored on our first 6, 5 in the first half and the first drive of the third quarter. And I knew we had a combination of ball control and big play going on today, but starting to crack them down, just to run through them real quick. First drive, and all 6 of these were tutties. First one, 7 plays, 80 yards, 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Second one, 1 play, 70 yards, 9 seconds. Third one, 4 plays, 70 yards, 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Next one, 11 plays, 70 yards, 4:55. Final drive of the half, 2 plays, 20 yards, 23 seconds. That was right after the turnover. Totaled out to 5 touchdowns on 25 plays, 310 total yards from scrimmage, not actual considering penalties and all that other stuff, in 11 minutes and 46 seconds total. The one drive we had in the third quarter, because Dallas had the ball, field goal, we got it back, we went touchdown, 17 plays, 69 yards for 7 minutes and 56 seconds. It's almost like we purposely went from being explosive to going, we're going to grind this down a little bit, burn some clock, still motor down the field and score a touchdown. And I'm like, you literally did whatever you wanted to do today, whenever you wanted to do it on offense. And they couldn't stop anything. They were You said it, like they had that lost look on their face. Like
Yeah,
we,
that was the
they,
drive that you could see they were beat. They were done.
yeah.
They could have shut it off right there. Man, yeah, it shows. It shows all around. I sent y'all a video earlier, I think, of the parade that the New Orleans fans
Yeah.
started in Dallas today. And it felt loud in there at some points. And I know we definitely didn't outnumber them, so you could tell that they were down, and we were, up, obviously. Um,
We were feeling it.
it just felt, yeah, and at that point in the third quarter when it was, 6-yard run or 8-yard run or 10 and, hit a little pass, a lot of looking at each other and hands going up and, what do we do here? What do we do there? I think that was when Parsons went to the sideline and was talking to McCarvey. It was, I don't
He
know.
was defeated.
He was, yeah.
He looked defeated.
Looked like he looked his last year in Green Bay, where he had to deal with Rodgers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it. We've seen that look before. Yeah, when he was in Green Bay. Yeah, I agree. That was just. It's been a long time since we've seen that, but it was like, man, I'm just. And the first time they put the camera on Zimmer, I told brother-in-law the Ron Burgundy line just jumped into my head because it was probably the second or third drive, and he just had the look of, man, that escalated quickly. Like it spun out of control on his defense so fast that he was blindsided. They were blindsided. And, I know we're kind of just keep going over that same point right now, but it's like, wow, man, dude, I did not see this coming. I picked Dallas to win. I'm surprised the chat's not blowing me up right now about it. I wouldn't have blamed them if they'd be like, hey, idiot, you had Dallas by a touchdown. That was barely scored a touchdown.
I mean,
it's like
everybody did, right? Everybody had Dallas. That it wasn't just some Saints fans. Obviously that doesn't mean that we pull for the Cowboys. But on paper, when you look at those type of things, it they should be beating us, right? But man, today was a different feel in Carolina. Today was today was a good team, a playoff team. I don't know how many games they won last year, probably like 12, 13, 14, I'm sure.
Yeah, double-digit playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a Super Bowl or bust team, right?
I think so.
Head coach's job's probably on the line if they don't win the Super Bowl. And, man, I tell you what, getting blown out by the team from the state next door is not a good look. Not a playoff team from the worst division last year. Talk all off season of is this the right quarterback? Is why did they bring the coach back? And lo and behold, we bring in the next guy that looks like he's going to probably leave us and go get a head coaching job if we don't pay him big.
Stop.
It is what it is, right? That's the business side of it. But,
yeah.
But man, he is rolling right now. There's only one way to get that spot. That's to keep rolling like this. So, take us there.
In talking about ball control versus Jerry G, welcome aboard. Thank you. Thank you for the compliment there on the awesome channel. And make sure you hit the thumbs up for me while you're here, though. But appreciate the kind words. Lewis Winthorpe the third, DC4. Hi, welcome in.
I'm with you, bro.
I'm
with you, man. He can't play any better. He can't play any better. The one pick today, he was high on the ball and he was barely high on the ball. He's a couple inches down on that, and a lot of it comes down with that catch.
And actually the next thing on the list of topics was the offense headline. Derek Carr is the first one there. But on that, let's just get this out the way. There's literally one bad offensive play. That was it. And just a little off slightly and just happened. I don't even know if he picks a ball if Olave doesn't jump up and tip it and it comes to him. So, I mean, It's just one of those plays that happens. And thankfully, it happened in a blowout when it didn't really matter. The one bad defensive play was that overrun by Honey Badger on that because the Debo had pretty decent coverage on Lamb. He makes a good play on it. Honey Badger was there to clean it up, just kind of overran it, which you probably get away with a lot of receivers in the league. CD Lamb ain't one of them. Spun out of there and housed it. Other than that, and Honey Badger more than made up for it because he had some big plays after that.
Yeah.
And if Groupie's got to miss
Man,
an
look,
extra point, dear God, do it in a 40-point blowout. Okay, but don't miss any more.
Right.
But that's really
Right.
the only 3 plays I can think of the whole game where I would have a gripe. Everything else was good, very good. And Derek Carr was really, really good.
Here's my gripe, and it goes along with that Honey Badger play when Brady had to throw in. Oh, it kind of reminds me of the Minneapolis Miracle or whatever they call it over there in Viking land. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Not even
it has
close.
No feel of that, and it didn't even look like that. This
No.
was an understandable play of how it happened. That one will never be understandable.
Exactly. And
for that guy to be out of here.
And this wasn't a playoff game either. This wasn't a survive and advance moment in a playoffs. Now, I don't even want to hear that reference, but bringing up Mr. Derek Carr, you want to talk about 2 weeks in a row, and you want to say, man, he's efficient. But when you look at his numbers, it's like he's like deadly efficient. It's only threw the ball 16 times. It's 11 of 16 for 243, 2 tutties. The pick that was, again, it was a great read. It was the throw was a little off, and it happens, but didn't hurt us, so no big deal. But he averaged 22 yards of freaking completion. Now, granted, he had 2 big plays on the long pass to Shaheed, which, by the way, post game he said pre-snap he was thinking this is for Olave because he knew they had coverage on Shaheed's side. But he said when he looked up, he was shocked how far downfield Shaheed had gotten and had an angle to the inside with a spot for him to throw the ball. So he was like, I'm taking it, and chunked it. And Shaheed made the play on it. And he mentioned it. He said, because people don't realize how hard that is on a play like that of tracking the ball. He said, because I had to throw it up high. And it's not. And when he said that, I was like, you're right. I've seen a lot of fast receivers that can't adjust to the ball like Shaheed can and just get under it, catch it, and go. Yes. And I went, man.
And look, most of the time
that's a great play.
They try to let it fall in the breadbasket, and man, I tell you who he looks like out there. And I was having a conversation about this today, but the way we're using him and the way he's tracking those deep balls right now, he reminds me of Deshaun Jackson when he was in his heyday. That dude could go get those balls that was just flying up there like punts, right? Man, and he would just he would have that next gear, and so he reminds me of it, and that's perfect for this offense. Exactly what we need.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't have the other side of Deshaun. He's the, he's not a problem. He's a great guy in the locker room. He's all I saw off season was how hard he was working, his videos and people that he was contacting, talking to about routes, that type of thing. And it shows, man. And by the way he's playing right now, that contract we signed him to in the offseason, that
he might get a little more expensive.
He might have based on what everybody else is doing right now. Yeah, he might have an illness during training camp next year.
Yeah. So you move out of Derek Carr, who, great game. And if we keep getting that for him week in and week out, look out. But when you look at the running,
let me jump on Carr again too. He last year a big part of what we didn't like what we saw was all of the hands and the point and the arguing with the center and or offensive lineman. And we're not seeing any of that. We're seeing a lot of pick me up, a lot of leadership type of body language, and I guess it's a lot easier when things are going well, but that's a huge part of making things go well, and he's done a great job with that.
And he had kind of addressed that in post game because DA had said, look, we took some stuff off of Carr's plate in this offense. And they didn't get specific. And Carr later on, when they asked, look, I'm not going to tell you what I like and I don't like and because we don't need that information out there. But he said, let's just say he's right. And he said, I was the type of person I wanted to do it all and understood, well, that might not be best for the team or best for me. So Clint was like, look, we're going to change some things up. You're going to have to do, and Carr said, not all change is bad, but he said, I had to change some stuff up in my game to accommodate it. But he said, once, I realized it's better for the team if I do it, so just do it. And I think kind of that is playing into it is like, he's really understanding, and not that he didn't understand leadership, but necessarily, but I think now it's just after a year, it's kind of all working out where it's all getting integrated. Everybody is on the same page, makes life a lot easier. And when you have a guy that goes, yeah, I really want to do X, Y, and Z, but it's not best for the team, so fine. It's like, that's when you're really going, the team's going, okay, he's sacrificing something for us. We have to sacrifice for him. That's how you get all this to work. So this keeps rolling. I'm very, very happy to see that. And yeah, we shouldn't have any more shouting matches on the sideline.
Right. Better for the team is in the end better for him for sure. I guarantee he's walking around New Orleans a whole lot more comfortable this year than last year. And I think he's enjoying going into work, and it's showing, and people are being positive about it. And man, everybody's on it. Olave's balling, man. Olave's he's running every route hard. You see him flying into place for blocks. He's obviously bought in as well, and we're rolling right now. And Shaheed, he 2 games in a row, he has taken the top off of the defense early in the game, first, second drive. And then we go underneath and catch, 5, 6, 7 balls on deep drags or deep crosses right underneath that safety, and hit the sideline on a couple of them. Olave hit the sideline on one today that set us up for one of Kamara's 4 touchdowns.
Well, you're gonna hold off on that because we'll get to the receiving guys for a second. But yeah, I do have something to say on the Shaheed Olave combination and how they're being used. But on the running game, real quick, because we know what Kamara did, 20 for 115. But then you start looking at Williams, 8 for 39, Hill, 3 for 18. Shaheed, 3 for 13. You've got guys, and Olave's 1 carry for 7. So the 5 guys that carried the ball, all well above the run average you're looking for out of this offense. 5.7, 4.8, 6, 4.3, and then the 1 for 7. And if it wouldn't be for the 1 yard touchdown run by Carr and Hayner's 3 kneels, our quarterbacks killed our average with that shit, because it was like 4 carries for -2 and a touchdown. But even then, I mean, we were averaging chunk yardage in the running game. And when you can do that, you can dictate a lot of stuff to the defense. And I think that may have been what surprised Dallas the most on defenses. I don't think they thought for a second we were going to come in and jam the ball down their throat whenever we wanted to run the ball on them. And I think that frustrated them. It took them by surprise. It took me by surprise, quite honestly. I thought we could run effectively. I didn't think we could do this, in the running game.
Yeah, I agree. What we saw last week in the running game, it was, can we repeat it, right? I think we talked about that the high run per average, yards per carry were huge last week, and it showed up again this week. I think if you probably went back and looked at our yards per carry to about 10 to 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they were way higher than what they were to end the game, right? Everybody in the world knows that you're running the ball, so you get stopped for shorter carries. And then, like you said, the kneel downs obviously take away. But man, you could feel it, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I said it last week. I don't know exact number of yards per carry, but I could absolutely feel that we ran the ball all over them, right? Like it just showed. Their defensive line looked beat down.
Kept seeing
There's
that.
some big old dudes that they got over there that look beat down, absolute beat down. Looked like every time that they came off the ball, they tried to trail or run down the line to make a play. There were 2-3 dudes in their way, and they couldn't figure out how to get through or around them until it was 6-7 yards down the field.
What you were saying, like instinctively figuring we were above the average, was early on. I think the play that really kind of set the tone was, I believe it was Olave, was the second play with his reverse. We were second and long because we got stuffed. And he got it to like 3rd and 2 on that run because they were selling out so hard. They look like sometimes we do on defense, where they're selling out so hard one way that when you hit them with that backside reverse or some type of counter or anything like that, it goes for a play like that. And I don't remember who ran up for them from the secondary because he got in there right before Olave could turn the corner and really make it hurt. So that was kind of like, I think they were like, oh, we can't do that. So we're going to have to play it a little more straight up, and then kind of built. The other thing was Alvin's run for the touchdown, the first one, which I do believe is that same drive. It looked like when we got down there inside the 10, Kubiak was putting his foot down going, guys, we're going to run this ball into the end. We're going to set the tone right now. We're going to run it right at him, and we're going to run with a run, put this ball in the end zone, and it's going to plant the seed we want planted. And I think it was very effective.
Right.
I think it was a very good commitment to the running game. And then that just opened the door, and things went into the passing game, which, getting back to the receivers, Shaheed and Olave. Shaheed 4 for 96. Olave 4 for 81. That's 24 and 20 yards average per catch. And they seem to be working last week. Yes. On 16 balls, 8 of them to those two guys, those two guys for big yardage on average. But it seems to be like we were saying earlier, where Shaheed seems to be that guy that can really track the deep ball, like a Deshaun Watson type. One thing I'm noticing, they're loving to use Olave on that cross, because it seems like every time he crosses, which I don't know if we ever ran him on a cross the last couple of years, he always seems to be open. It's almost like that's his thing. I'm going to take the deep cross, which is, I'm like, that's a perfect combo. You got a guy that blows it off the top, then a guy that can run those deep routes like that, crosses, outs, and get open. And Carr is able to, like on that Shaheed touchdown, it kind of lined up perfectly, because brother-in-law pointed this out, that it was 3 levels, because we had somebody short. We had who he thought was going to be the primary receiver in Olave crossing, and then right behind him, Shaheed, who he saw with it makes the big play for the touchdown. But it was all right there. It wasn't like he was making 5 reads to figure all this out. The way that play was designed was, I mean, talk about making your life easy on your quarterback. Oh, I just look up, count 1, 2, 3. Oh, wait, Shaheed's beat him. Let me throw it out there and let him run under it. So very impressive.
Yeah, better throw the shit out of it, because he's running. He is flying out there.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna have to get a little bit more creative. As the season goes on, because people got to be watching that tape going, hey guys, he is faster than you think he is. He is going to run by you if you're not ready. That's 2 weeks in a row that he just absolutely dusts people.
And we can get some people in some too high safety looks and some quarters looks and stuff like that, off and away from the line of scrimmage. When they're doing that, then your running game all of a sudden starts getting a little better, because there's just less defenders in there to deal with it. So let me catch up.
Olave is such a good route runner. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
He's such a good route runner. And you're right. Every time he comes dragging across the middle, he looks open. He is such a good route runner.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to catch up on some of these that were stacking up a little bit. I think it floated a little bit. And it was, like I said, it wasn't a horrible pass, but and it happens. And if it's got to happen, like these little things, if it's going to happen when you're winning 44-19 game, get it out your system now. Just next time, get the ball on him, or but for the most part, it was a flinch moment, but it wasn't like totally lose your mind. Now, if the score is a 3-point game at that point and that happens, you're like, oh, you're losing your mind. But a little more, it was a little more, could take it a little more in that situation and just go, okay, teaching, learning moment, just clean that up, make sure it doesn't happen.
Saying I appreciate it. Funny thing, me and my friends were having a discussion in one of our group chats this week about how terrible the hats have been lately. And I actually got online to try to find this one again from like 3 or 4 years ago to try to order it, but I can't find it right now. So But and the rest of that question with Dak and Lamb's contracts, man, look for CD Lamb. No, I don't think so. I think it's a different state of mind as a wide receiver, and he's kind of a G. Like, I think he got his money, wants to go out there and show why he got his money. For Dak, maybe so. Could be some pressure. He seems like the kind of guy that goes, okay, now I have to prove it to you, right? Instead of just going out there and playing ball. I can tell you as a fantasy owner, Dak, I ain't too happy with his start. Team's doing well. Got lucky with some backup running backs have now starting running backs, so we're all right. But Dak needs to kind of step it up and show why he got $60 million per year. That's for sure.
Yeah. And can't blame Dak, because if somebody's going to throw a lot of money at me, as long as they're not asking for anything for me to do anything illegal, I'm taking the money, because it's not like.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get in anybody's wallet. I'm just,
Yeah, but I would say this. I think to a certain degree, and it's not a true apples to apples because they're a little different style quarterbacks, but in the overall scheme of things, Dak and Derek Carr are kind of on that same level. And I think when things are going right and you've got good schemes for them and the players around them and you protect them, they can make some plays for you. I don't think they'll ever be Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or anything like that, but they're good NFL quarterbacks, and you can win with guys like that. You just can't expect them to constantly carry your team. And I think that's the problem that Dallas gets into with their, and he's not the first one, because I thought the same thing about Tony Romo, but sometimes, sort of like we were talking about Derek Carr, they start putting too much on those guys, going, they're not the guy you think you are, but it's not a knock. Not everybody can be Tom Brady, but the Trent Dilfers of the world can still win a lot of games and win a Super Bowl, just to say, or the Brock Purdy's of the world, because it looks like he's on the verge of being able to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. So just wanted to throw that out there about them. But
I have no idea what Dallas tried to do with their running game this year, going into the year.
They have
today is it. Dak didn't play great. He obviously didn't control any part of the game. That's kind of what you want from a quarterback. But when you get down the way that they got down and you become so one-dimensional, and they ran the ball at odd times, and our front four was there for it. They try to sneak in runs, get down 19 in the third quarter or whatever. They would only go for 3 or 4 yards. So then you had second and long, and Dak, he didn't make a lot of plays. I see a question about tight end production. I am not concerned. I don't think tight end production it has ever been a big thing in this type of offense. Even if you look at Kittle, which I think we talked about the first time I was on, he doesn't catch a lot of balls a year. He catches a lot of big passes. Sometimes he'll catch 8 to 10 touchdowns. But it's usually 50, 52, 54 catches. We did hit Foster Moreau for a touchdown today. He got called back. But that was a play where, if it doesn't get called back, the penalty had nothing to do with him being wide open in my mind, right?
Right.
So
that's why I'm calling.
Get him involved, which it was sneaky, and it was at the right time. And I think that's kind of what you see with Kittle. Sometimes you see from a fantasy side of it, you say go 1 for 60 and a touchdown, right?
That's why I was trying to call time out there. So before I forget this point, because one thing we improved on this week is our penalties were lower, but I also think we committed more than those referees called both ways. Like, they weren't real flag happy for the most part. I think the ones they did call were so flagrant they had no choice for the most part, but they let some things slide both ways that I'm like, wow, I can't believe they didn't throw a flag there. However,
there's a lot.
That play, literally, now Ruiz was probably 1.5 yards to 2 yards past the line, and we had another lineman next to him who was a yard. So there was really 2 of them, but Ruiz was the most egregious. But they had kind of just drifted out and stopped. Nothing was really going on. And I'm like, of all the times to throw the ticky-tacky flag that y'all pretty much avoided all game because y'all weren't throwing any, why on that play and pull the touchdown from Moreau? So,
Right.
but to the point of
I
tight
agree.
ends, I think also in this offense, you're using the tight end multi-dimensional because he's going to block, he's going to do some other stuff, he's going to catch the ball. I don't think you scheme into it a whole lot, but I think what they do is they make it to where when the defense forgets about it, or in the case of Shaheed and Olave being able to press the ball down the field, think Debo and Ayuk and Frisco, and that's when Kittle's all of a sudden that's when he's getting sneaky and he's getting those sneaky catches
Right.
and those hidden yards and
Right.
it's kind of there if you need it, but I don't think they ever really scheme towards it. Or I shouldn't say a lot. I think they want to get to the big playmakers, so to speak, the faster
But
guys, the more explosive guys. But they
a
don't
lot
want to
of plays,
disuse them.
and we only threw 16 times today. A lot of those plays, they don't get into their routes. They're blocking for a count first, right? And if first second reads open, that ball's coming out of your hand right as you're coming out that block, so you're not really getting into a route a lot of times. I agree with you on penalties. There's a lot of crews in the NFL that would have flagged Harris when he took CeeDee Lamb's soul from his body for a minute.
That's one I held my breath on, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yep. I went, oh, that's a flag. And I was like, not a flag. And then it showed the replay and it was like, good, no call. But there's a lot of crews that would have seen the way that CeeDee's body looked when he got hit and going, oh, yeah, I'm throwing a flag on this.
Absolutely. So
that guy's worth $40 million a year. I'm going to throw a flag on this.
And to be honest, I wasn't upset that they weren't other than that play because they were the proverbial letting them play. They
That's
really
how it should
wasn't.
be,
So, so I'm like, okay, that's fine.
And
They missed some, but okay, fine. You're not being ticky-tacky and killing plays. Yes,
right,
absolutely.
Right. It's such a better watch whenever they are calling the way they call today. Eat the whistle, let them play. It was an exciting game. I think they were probably moments where the refs were like, well, what is happening here, right? Not the kind of game I expected. But yeah, it's such a better watch. Sometimes the games are just painful nowadays with the flags that they call. Look at the Thursday night game that started the year with the illegal formation calls. Like it was just out of control. So you can tell they've even peeled back on that, at least for the games that I watched on TV today.
And for Lewis, real quick, I really can't comment on that because I did notice, and I haven't rewatched yet, but I'll see if we can. It's probably tomorrow morning. I'm going to do a rewatch again from the start. So I'll take a look. It possibly could have been, but either way, if it was he just shanked it, or if it was blocked, or if it was a bad snap, or whatever. My opinion is still like, get that out of your system right now in 44-19 wins, so it doesn't show up when that extra point could have really mattered. Didn't really matter. So I don't necessarily like that we missed it, but okay, just
that's right.
Learn a lesson.
If it was blocked, get it up a little.
Yeah, or go get the lineman who allowed somebody to come through and go, dude, you can't let him do that. You can fix that kind of stuff. So it's better to, if it's got to happen, it's better to happen in games like this. Total numbers, just to roll through real quick, because the only reason why I really looked at this is because I had to look at the rushing. We had 190, they had 68. When in the hell was the last time we tripled the other team in rushing yards? I don't know if it's that I can remember that's ever happened. That is insane. That is insane. We had 3 times roughly the rushing yardage they had. Average yards per play, we were at 8, they were at 5. So this is like the second game in a row where we're averaging almost a first down per play.
Right. Yeah.
That's efficient and effective on every level.
It feels that way, right? I don't know, man. The running game, it's I know we're a passing league right now. I know NFL's a pass, or football in general, even all the way down to high school now. Or shoot, I mean, my 8-year-olds playing flag football, and they wanking the ball around the field. It's it's crazy how much of a passing game it has become, but it's still there's still something fun to watch about a team that just pounds it, and everybody's working together, and it's one cut 3 yards, and then second cut 4, 5, 6, 7 yards, and man, it's nice right now, and it's everybody, and they're excited for each other, and Kamara makes a run, takes a big hit. There's 2 offensive line lifting him off the ground. It's got that feel of, hey, we're that next team. We're that next team that's coming and competing, and all the other teams that we always talk about the window, right? All the other teams that wasted the window, we're back.
Yeah.
So
running game will get you there, and a running game can hide a lot of stuff on both sides of the ball. If you can run it, you can hide not a great passing game as long as you don't fall behind too much. And it can definitely cover some holes on defense when you can control the clock and keep them off the field.
We talked about that on a different show. We talked about what we needed from the running game, and this had to look like a Kubiak / Shanahan offense, and we got to control it because we're not deep on defense. And I think that has showed through 2 games right now that we look fresh in the fourth quarter. They're blowouts, right? So we really got to play 3 quarters right now. But it looks like every snap we're coming to the ball, we're flying around making tackles. For years, I've been saying, can we get that safety back? That we kind of saw with CD Deuce that flies around and gives it up to the team and gets people excited. Man, it is fun to watch Alontae Taylor play football. He is a good ball player, man. He is instinctive. Do I expect him to overplay on some balls this year? 100%. I will take it in comparison to what he gives us right now and what he has done. Blitzing in coverage, coming up, making tackles for loss on screen passes. Man, it's nice right now.
Yeah, and when we get to the defense, I'm actually going to pull up it'll be easier when we talk defense. Just going to pull up the NFL.com individual stats because we filled a stat sheet on defense, which was refreshing to see. Before we get there, the one other thing, third down efficiency. Once again, we were at 62%. They were at 46%. I didn't look to see how many the actual conversions were. But once again, we're above 50. We're holding somebody below 50. And that 46 is misleading because a lot of that was later in the game in garbage time or the end of the first half.
Right.
They converted because we were just like, we're not letting you score a touchdown. If you want to kick a field goal, fine. Because Aubrey doesn't miss. So you get across the 50, it's a field goal. We don't care, but you're not scoring touchdowns.
I tell you, man, and look, I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but right now, if you want to get a true read of what kind of football team we're, you have to cut our stats at the end of the third quarter. Maybe a couple minutes,
in a weird way,
maybe one drive into the fourth quarter. But man, we're run for the last 10 minutes of both games because we're dominating, blowing people out.
Yeah, we're playing starters just because the roster limitations don't allow you to be able to pull a full second team on the field on either side of the ball. So, yeah, if this was college, you'd be second by the end of the third quarter. There'd be second and third teamers out there. Everybody else is on the bench and not coming back. So, and it's a great feeling because been a while since we've seen that in consecutive games for the Saints. Where we just get to take a little breather about halfway through the third quarter. You're like, whew. Other than brother-in-law, because I saw the text where we're all, and he's like, no, I'm still worried. I'm like, next to him, dude, what are you still worried about? This game's on lockdown, man. Don't worry about it.
Long, man.
I think that's part of it, yeah.
The first message that I got, which was at halftime, and it was about how we're going to Super Bowl. I was like, hold up. There's still a second half to play in Dallas. Let's see if they make adjustments. And they came out and they did not make adjustments. We continued.
Nope.
And
we decided to go.
We had the most dominant drive in the NFL this year in the third quarter against them. It was our only drive in 16 plays or whatever it was, six minutes of change, like unbelievable.
Yeah, we broke their back right there, really. That just snapped their will, so to speak. So, And a nice segue into the reason why we were able to run the ball and be able to do that. The offensive line play has been just outstanding. And the edge guys, which we were kind of like last week going, look, they're not facing elite edge rushers for the most part. Clowney was at one time, but he's just getting old. So we'll see
Yeah.
next week when they have got to face Lawrence and Parsons. Check that box. They handled them. They handled them from the whole game. And it wasn't all just scheme. A lot of it had to do with scheme, and a lot of it did have to do with running the ball, and that made their life easier. But there were times when you were looking, we were in straight pass pro, dropping back protection. We didn't do it often, but they stonewall those guys when we did. It was almost like when we dropped back, they were so surprised they got to rush the passer, they forgot to rush the passer. I don't know. I can't explain it, but Fuaga and Penning just locked down those edges and did a great job.
Yeah, and you know, I talk all the time with kids playing sports that there's too much of people that go when good teams get off a bus, they go, oh, that's so and so, oh, they're so good, or look how big he is, and there's not enough old school dog where it's, oh, you think he's better than me? I'm gonna go show you, right? And I think those two guys got that in them because they go out there and just put it on people that are supposed to outplay them, supposed to be better than them, have bigger names in them. You know, Fuaga was out of practice all week. They didn't even know if he was going to even dress. And he comes out and he looks absolutely amazing.
I have a comment about that.
They you know, give him the Plaxico Barris treatment and tell him he's never got to practice. I don't care if he's going to go out on Sundays and play that way.
Comment on that coming from Derek Carr, because they were asked him about, you know, Fuaga being able to play today. He was like, look, I'm going to have to paraphrase it because he kind of gave a long answer. But he said, I've been in the league 11 years, and I see like a changing trend. He was trying not to say this younger generation doesn't play hurt. But what he was getting at is this younger generation doesn't play hurt in a roundabout way. But he said Fuaga, he said, so he was out there before the game. I walked up to him. I said, so Tally, how you feeling? You going to go today? And he said immediately without hesitation, oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm going today. And Derek Carr said, thank you. I love you. And I'm like, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I would too, because, and Carr talked about that. He said, he's a tough guy. He's here to play. And he did kind of go, you don't always see that with younger players, but with him. And when you said throwback old school, he kind of mentioned, he said, you know, when I first started, that's what you did. You know, if you were hurt, you were played. Absolutely. If you were injured, you got off the field and they, you know, you had treatment or whatever. But if you were hurt, because he didn't say this, but while he's saying it, I'm thinking, even in week 2 on a 53-man roster, there's more than just Fuaga out there for the Saints who also kind of hurt, and they're sucking it up and playing it too. You have to at some point. Now, not to sound callous, yes, there's a difference between hurt and injured. You're injured, you can't play. You shouldn't play. You know, Marshawn, borderline injured because they were worried about something that may clear up before the Philly game, turn it into something longer if he played and retweets it or whatever. So I get that. But if this was a look, you're not going to injure it any worse. There's no real danger of that. It's what you can tolerate to be on the field. Your left tackle, your 14th overall pick, who you are projecting, you're going to be that guy for a long time, said, oh, well, I got it, man. It's a little pain. I can deal with it. We're fine. Let's roll. You got to love that.
To see that position for sure. You know,
and you need that at that position.
Yeah, let's hope whatever's causing the ailment and you know, if he's playing at 80, 90%, whatever it is, let's hope they get figured out. You know, he's talented. He's fun to watch. He looks like he's having fun playing football, which you love to see with an offensive lineman. You know, and even Penning, man. Penning showed his scrappy side today, and man, he's. I hate to keep repeating this every time I'm on, but we said this is his chance. This is his chance. This is Ruiz's chance. This is all those guys' chance to show, hey, I was a good player in the wrong system. And instead of letting him go and go find a system and sign a contract, we kept him. We drafted one. We brought it back. You know, people saying we should cut Penning, you know, or trade him. I remember Penning was like big in trade talks for this draft. You know, we stuck with him. We found a guy that can get the best out of them and what they do. And man, they are getting upfield. They are blocking at the point of at the line of scrimmage and then making contact again a few yards down the field.
I swear you're somehow reading my notes here because that's what impressed me most about the offensive line. They played fast, but they played tough. They
Yeah.
had Penning had a couple maul blocks. One of them I can think of. They did that thing with Damone Clark. It's kind of their ex-LSU guy. They're bigger, run stop and more off the ball linebacker. Doesn't really do so much in the passing game, but Demarius Overshawn does. Well, and I think it was on Alvin's touchdown run on the wide zone left. I think it was that play, but at one play, Overshawn was on the field. We ended up running the ball, not throwing it. He's coming up, and Lucas Patrick just showed the young second-year guy who's a little light because he's a kind of smaller, faster guy. That's more his game. Oh, our left guard lit him up, and he had to get downfield to do it, to get in a position to do it. He did it. He gave him a pretty good lick. Penning had a couple good licks. Fuaga had a couple. So I love to see that because they have to run and move and be athletic and play fast to get into those positions, and they're doing it, and then it's like, bam. It's almost like it's scary.
It's got to be more fun for an offensive lineman to play in that type of offense and make those type of blocks than everything being in the trenches.
And now you want them to go do that, that now they're like, oh, this is fun.
I mean, truly, you cannot ask for more than what we have gotten from offense this year.
No.
It's been unreal, and I think it has completely helped the defense. I think it is. Man, we got guys that still look like they got some spring in their step that we were questioning in the offseason. And the reason why we had those questions because they didn't have that spring last year. They looked beat up and they looked tired. And it looked like they wanted to field way too many plays. That's not happening this year.
Well, and to be honest with you, a nice segue into let's go look at some defensive stuff here. I think we're able on offense to make the other team get one-dimensional so fast that it helps our defense out. If we're in a tight game, this is where the one thing I still wear in our defense, because of some areas not real deep, and we're going to rely on some younger guys to eventually step up to get that depth. And along the defensive line, it looks like our young guys there are kind of doing it on the interior, at least. That can get you into trouble. So right now we're staying away from that. We're still getting guys valuable playing time, those younger guys. Boyd got a lot. Ridgeway got a lot today in that rotation on the defensive line. I'm interested to see the breakdown of how many players we were able to work in there. Orgy got some
Peyton Turner
time.
Was Peyton Turner or Foskey out there? Because I don't recall seeing them too much today.
I mentioned that to brother-in-law. He said he saw Turner. I was like, well, you must have been looking for him because he didn't do anything to make me notice him. But neither one of us saw Foskey. So
I agree, man. I like that we seem to be moving on from those dudes and giving snaps to other guys that seem to be hungry and playing fast and going, hey, man, I want that spot. I deserve that spot, right? They got the high draft picks, but they don't deserve those spots. So I thought about that while I was watching the game, and it just felt like I didn't see many snaps out of them today. And if they were on the field, they didn't hear their name at all, really.
I'll know Tuesday because PFF's little snap count chart comes out Tuesday, and they'll have percentage of snaps. So, but I feel like if they were on the field, it wasn't much.
Let's talk DBs for a minute here, man.
That's what I pulled that up. Look at
passing games.
2 picks. Adebo with a great return on his that just set up that last touchdown with little effort to do it. But the thing that got me when I was looking at it was like, look at all the pass breakups we had. Debo had 2, Matthew had 2, but everybody was even Ugo Amadi, who's normally they're going to catch it. I'm going to tackle him immediately. Guy got in there, got his hands on one to break it up. But I don't have a problem with that. It's if you can give good coverage to just get them to the ground before they run anywhere. Sometimes that's better than the alternative. But Davis, Harris, Jordan tipped the one at the line. Kool-Aid had the big breakup on Lamb um, in the end zone there, because that's normally a touchdown for CeeDee Lamb, and
Right.
that shows, I think, a lot of Kool-Aid. There was a couple plays specifically about him. One, he came up on a running play, like a Debo does. He looked a lot like a Debo. He just came up and hit the guy, got him on the
We
ground.
talked
It's like,
about that too,
I ain't
man.
afraid to
Kool-Aid's a
tackle.
dog. Right.
Yes.
He's coming up. He's throwing his body around. He's
And a lot of corners on that
fun to
play to
watch.
Lamb. On that play to Lamb, Lamb's going to beat a lot of corners because they're going to give up and not keep fighting through it. And it's
Right.
going to be a touchdown, not Kool-Aid. I mean, no, he just kept ripping and fighting, and the ball finally comes out. And then Harris puts the big lick on him to kind of finish it off. So, I mean, it's
Man,
like,
that felt like
what
some
you
old
wanna
school
see.
football right there. That's the way it used to be.
Oh, yeah. Harris likes to hit. He does. He likes to tackle and hit.
He does.
You know,
He's a linebacker in a safety's body.
Yeah. And there's your guy, Alante. I mean, going 7-1, 2 TFLs. When Lattimore wasn't going to play, and I'm over at brother-in-law's, we were talking about, and we specifically said this, I hope they don't move Alante, because we know Alante can play outside and play it well. We're both like, I hope they don't move him outside. I hope McKinstry, and even if you got to go Rico Payton a little bit out there, or move Amadi, can sometimes play corner, keep Taylor in the middle because he's a playmaker. And you mentioned CD Deuce a little while ago, and it's like we get in that Dennis Allen defense, CD Deuce and some guys before him back in that like 2017, 2018 run. A lot of times it was more safeties than corners, but in that kind of slot corner / linebacker, because sometimes they kind of line up as a linebacker, but they make plays. He's always used them to make. Those are the guys blitzing from the secondary. Those are the guys a lot of times that are jumping routes and doing some stuff while everybody else is kind of more coverage, straight coverage. I mean, they'll still jump them and all, but it's like specifically designed, we want you to make the big play. He is fast and he's explosive, and he has figured out that inside. Because if you were watching that game, you could not help see one all over the field all the time on defense. And I'm going, yes, we've needed that so badly the last couple of years, and going, man, I think he's got it figured out, and keep him healthy and on the field, because he is going to make plays. He's going to make stops. He's going to do what you need him to do in that position.
I think you look at that stat sheet right there, and it reads exactly like what you watch in the game. Taylor with 8, Werner with 8, Davis 8 total, right? They're around every ball. They're in the screen every play. And everybody else is kind of filling in around them.
And you get
Chase Young, bro. Like that dude looks like a beast out there, man. And he looks like exactly what he was drafted to be, right? Just disrupt stuff. Whether it's a screen or a running back going out in the flat, or you got to stunt, come up down the middle, like blitz from the outside. And he is just disrupting things. He's in the backfield all the time.
And
he might not be
draws a lot of
whole
attention,
bunch of sacks or anything like that right now. Like, but he is, he's making people come off blocks, trying to help out and putting other players in good positions right now, or making quarterbacks run for their lives. I'm
and those other guys.
I hope his body holds up, man, because if he's healthy, he's.
Well, and the thing is while he's drawing that attention, because today there was a couple of times where he looked very active, and there was other times where it was he kind of, I don't want to say sitting there because he was working, but Guyton had gotten help, and Guyton had kind of locked him up. But at the same time, again, this was another discussion Brother Law and I were having. It was almost at times he was the guy kind of I don't want to say spying Dak. That's not exactly right, but he was keeping an eye. I think he was the guy kind of being responsible to keep Dak from scrambling out of there, breaking contain, and kind of Dak isn't known for doing that, but he did it. He did do it a couple times today. Just kind of keep him in there because I'm drawing attention. And the second part of this is while he's drawing attention, and if they're going to put him in that spot and go, well, look, you're going to get the double team, you're going to get the chips and all, just kind of sit back because we're sending the other guys.
Right.
Granderson, sack and a half. Brazil with his sack and the forced fumble he had on that. It's like when that happens, those other guys have to step up. In fact,
That's
after
right.
Hayball's great punt, the only time we had to punt all day, to pin him back and we get the sack on the twist, we were sending 3. And Young is still drawing attention on the right side. And Granderson and Cam Jordan do a little twist, and Granderson blows through there and is in Dak's face before Dak has time to do anything. And I'm like,
Yeah,
there
were a couple plays too where they lined up a tight end on Chase Young's side, and tight end never got a chance to get into his route because he just put a forearm on him or popped him with his hand on the chest or the shoulder real quick and knocked him a yard back, right? And those are 2, 3, 4 yard routes that Dallas likes to dump balls off to and turn into 10, 12 yard gains. And he's completely taking guys out of their routes and then getting to the quarterback or drawing attention to allow others to get to the quarterback, man. We were worried, man, and rightfully so. I think when you sign somebody that's been banged up and came in the league as a top 2 pick and never really lived up to it because of injuries, and then you sign him, and the first picture you see, he's got a halo around his neck, and it's like, man, what's going on here? And kudos to us for giving him a shot to go earn his next contract. We said multiple times that it probably won't be with us, but we will gladly take the play that's going to earn it.
Yep. And look, we'll see how it all turns out in the long run. But for right now, doing what he's doing. And I will say this too, you got to watch him on the chase modes. I did notice that like when you see a play downfield or even like on a couple times when Dak kind of came out of there, you better have your head on a swivel or be moving forward because he's going to chase and he's coming. And if you mess around a little bit too much, you're gonna regret it in a big bad way. And I think a lot of people know that. They're like, man, that 99 is going to be coming like a freight train behind me. So if I'm going to go this route, I got to go and not mess around a little bit. And that's going to help on these more mobile type quarterbacks we're going to start seeing soon, knowing even if I'm being mobile, I can't mess around. I can't dance around. I can't do that whole roll out. Let me wait. You don't want to be waiting on that guy. So the other thing about the defense too is everybody's grabbing stats on this. Like everybody's getting involved. Very active rally to the ball defense. We were doing a lot of that today, and DA was a lot by design. That they were like, look, more or less, we're going to give up yards, and we just didn't want to give up big plays. He's like, they hit the one. So they were going to move the ball, but it was just about how can we stop them and keep them out the end zone and trade field goals with touchdowns, which is basically what happened, and just widen that game out to the point where they couldn't come back. So to do that, you have to have a stat sheet like this. You got to have a lot of, not one guy needs to have 15 tackles, but you better have 15 guys all making tackles and making plays when you want to do something like that. Because one little breakdown, and we saw the one little breakdown today, it's going to be a big play. So you got to limit that. And the way you got to limit it is you got to use your whole defense has got to get involved. So that was the main thing that I wanted to pull out on the defense it was an effort. It was a group effort.
Absolutely. And it feels like the previous years when we had the good defense for 3-4 years, and it was kind of bend don't break. We give up yards, but we wouldn't give up points, and we would always win the turnover battle.
Which we did again today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got the same feel as it. Guys are playing together, gang tackling. We always talk about the middle linebacker. We seem to have done very well in finding the right guy to go pick up and put him in that position. But as far as the DBs and playing together and being together, being in the same position, you can see them communicating pre-snap. And, it feels like when we communicate on defense right now, the quarterback immediately takes a step back and pauses, has to kind of reassess things. It's some confusion on that side of the ball as well. Yeah.
2 or 3 times we had Dak doing that multiple times.
Yeah.
I think they had to burn a timeout once, if I remember. But like walking up,
Yeah.
he'd step back, change it, we do something or not do something. Maybe he was expecting a shift, and we're like, "Hell no, bro, we're going to play straight up with it." And then
Hurry
he
up and
come out
run back to
again.
the line and change it again. They would rush a
Yeah,
snap. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's
You
almost
might
like he's starting to get in his head.
get to the play that you want to get to, but when you're backpedaling and have to rush to get your feet set just to get that snap off, it throws everything off.
Yeah.
You know, especially at the line. And on those plays, we're getting through the line. I think 2 weeks in a row, I think a couple of Taylor sacks last week, it was the same type of situation where he flew in and then kind of took a step back. And at one time he looked like he was going to take a step back and he kind of squatted behind one of our linemen. And man, I don't know. We're doing a lot of fun stuff on both sides of the ball right now.
And you mentioned that. Did Taylor actually blitz at any point today? Because I know there was a couple times that we saw where he was looking like he was coming in, ended up dropping off, but I don't know if he ever actually came on any of them. Rewatch tomorrow. I'll try to remember to look, but I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think so either. And man, he played great and he flashed over and over again. You know, it shows that he is doing it in multiple ways right now. But also I think when your D line is controlling the line of scrimmage the way that we did today, and just the way that it felt like we pushed them back a step, you know, it makes you go, okay, I could drop more guys back now. The big dudes got it up front. You know, they like to pass. They don't have a great running back room. You know, so I think the game plan, you know, obviously I think game plan week one, and we saw it again today. The clips that I saw of the Carolina game is put pressure on Bryce Young and he gets happy feet. Throws everything moving backwards and not very hard, you know, 2 weeks in a row. And I think with Dak, it's kind of the opposite. You know, he seems to handle pressure well usually, and finds those little dump offs and takes what they give him and then wanks one up top to CD. You know, but I think we schemed against that today and did so in a great way. And when they were able to complete passes, you take the one big pass out where we miss a tackle because we come flying in. And I don't know. I mean, I think Honey Badger almost looked like he thought he might have a chance to pick that on the sideline side of CD. CD kind of picked it out in the air, which you got to know that with that guy, he's going to do that.
And he was coming full speed. It's I think once he realized he just couldn't stop in enough time and overrun, CD does CD stuff, it is gone. So I mean, and
you know, I only bring that.
It wasn't through lack of effort. Put it to you that way.
Right. If you pull that play out, man, we were absolutely dominant today. We took away everything that they usually go to make their offense run.
Which is a nice segue into here because I said yesterday when I did a little preview video, wasn't concerned. I thought we could handle Dallas's running game. We did handily. That was going to give our defense a shot. To me, it was always boiled down to I didn't think our Walton Town best 88. I'm gonna pull you up in a second as soon as we talk about this, but this will hit on you a little bit what we're talking about. Wasn't sure if our tackles holding up to the better edge rushers that were coming. They did. So then now Dallas is in trouble because we've neutralized their best weapons on defense, and they don't have the running game to hang with our defense. If you can't run the ball on us, if you're going to be one-dimensional on the Saints, they can make your day really, really long when the offense is being productive, and it was more than productive today. Different story next week, because now we're going to come into a balanced team on offense, as Northern Saints point out. They're going to bring a lot of great players. Now, I didn't see Philly play last week. They play tomorrow night against the Dirty Birds, and I'm definitely going to watch that. So I don't know how it looks when Philly – how it's going to look, I guess. Because what you saw with the Saints, as we talked about earlier, it looked everybody on the same page. very cohesive offense. Everything's hitting on every cylinders. Sometimes, and I think Philly experienced this late last year when they had their collapse. They had a lot of great players that weren't in sync. It wasn't looking like everybody was on the same page. They were starting to struggle. You had some guys chirping. Probably won't see that early in the season, but you never know. So I think it's one of those things. Sometimes the name on the paper is worth being scared of, but sometimes you don't want to put it in your head. It's like, man, these guys are so good. So I got to see how it looks. But this is a team that when they are on the same page and they're doing everything right with that talent, and Barkley is a big difference maker because now they got a guy that can run and catch the ball that they don't have to pull off the field at running back.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's going to be a test.
Yeah. And look, you catch them on a short week, a couple guys banged up, you would love to test yourself against them at full strength just to see where you're at for that next step up. I consider Philly a step up from Dallas at this point right now. I think it's last year I think you could have made more of an argument that Dallas was on the same page as Philly, but them bringing in Barkley and really upgrading that position and what he's done or what he did in the first game, and Devonta Smith's going to find holes. He's a great route runner. You got to put a helmet on him and tackle him before he gets the extra yards. AJ Brown, he's a guy that catches a slant and goes 80, and you're like, what just happened, right? We were still celebrating our points, or we had a good punt. You got to make plays, and I think what we're doing right now is the approach to stop them. It's gang tackling, it's being in your right position, it's studying up and knowing what routes they're going to run out of the formations, and making sure that you're trusting the guy next to you to do his job. And I think we'll be all right. They get shut down sometimes, and you look at a stat sheet, you're like, Brown had 36 yards, and Smith had 40, and
a little out of sync.
They do some weird stuff. Yeah, and they do some weird stuff, play calling on the road sometimes, and it kind of makes you wonder. Every year they have questions, and people are questioning them. So it's for obvious reason. I do think Hurts is of the three quarterbacks we played. He
scares me the most.
Yeah, with his legs, and he doesn't take a lot of chances. So you got to make him pay when he's forced to. You got to put him in third and long situations and set him up to where you want him to stay in the pocket, right? I think he hurt you.
Yeah, I do.
Able to go out, buy a little bit more time and let those fast receivers get open. And he's right. They got a bunch. They're fast at every level. Goddard's fast for tight end, big, good target. I don't know. I like where we're at right now on defense. I like what we're doing. I like that we're changing things up, so it's kind of hard to get film on what we're doing right now and go, okay, which game plan they're coming with. Because it really looks like we're kind of scheming it at what they do best and saying we're gonna beat you at that.
I think this is the true quarterback test of the mobile guy that can move around and hurt you, which we've had trouble with lately. And also the first real tight end we're going to play, because Ferguson wound up not playing today, so we didn't have to face their all-pro. We're going to have to deal with the tight end and the offense coming up. So I think if they say balance on track on schedule when Philly's good, yeah, we're going to really, really be tested. So, which is good. And that's why this road win again today was so huge, because you're starting off 2-0. You get a little confidence builder against a playoff team, but you're right. I think we're stepping up in level when you face Philly. So you got this under your belt now. Okay, it's going to get a little tougher. It's going to get a little harder. You're going to have to work a little harder this week. Go ahead and step.
And we said the same thing on last week's recap. We said
kind of did. Yeah.
Hey, we're going to step up in competition. And I said, look, it is who it is that we played. You can't help who's on your schedule. But when you're supposed to beat somebody down, go beat them down. And that's what we did last week. And it would be tougher going to Dallas, right? We kind of compared the two games of Dallas and Philly because it was at Dallas and home against Philly, which is a little bit different dynamic. I'm excited to be back in the Dome next week. I'm excited that the feel that we had in week one wasn't killed in Dallas. I'm excited that we're going to bring that energy back next Sunday. Man, it's good. I am not scared of Philly at all. I think at full strength, that they're a top team in the NFC for the last few years, but we see how fast teams win those in, and we see how fast things go down. It's fun, man. I think we can have a fun game against Philly. I hope it's high scoring. I think we'll see what we saw today. We're going to put up 30 plus, and hopefully we keep them under 20 again. I'm glad you pulled up that comment right there and put it on the screen, because when I was looking at it on the scroll on the side, I saw number 2, and I was like, who in the world would get on here with an Aaron Brooks icon, meme, whatever it is?
James,
no, that's Chase Young. Chase Young in his preseason jersey.
Oh, okay. Oh, sure enough.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Damn. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go find that one. Yeah, and you may have missed it, or because when we did the offensive line, we didn't spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, we did talk about Pitting and Fuaga both being just really, really good. So yeah, you can't take anything away from those tackles. They had a hell of a good 2 weeks so far. But again, especially today, considering dealing with Lawrence and Parsons, it's a big deal. It's a real big deal to play that as well as they did.
Yep, I agree. We gave big shout outs to the offensive line early in the show for sure. I see the comment down there being well, okay, let's go to that one.
I wanted this one real quick.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Not in today's world. Too many guys that just have a few good moments on tape get big deals.
Jonathan Greenyard. I keep going back to that. I thought, before this preseason when we signed Young and all, I'm thinking, man, Houston's going to move on from him because they drafted Will Anderson. They have some other good edge players. We could probably afford Greenyard, and I think Minnesota grabbed him for like $17 million for 4 years.
Yeah, man.
60-something right million. I was like, and I know this because I have him in my fantasy team, IDP. He goose-egged me last week, finally got a sack today. So he's like 2 games. You think he's got 1 tackle and a sack. And I'm going, and this guy's basically making $1 million a game for the next 4 years for him. Going,
Yep.
So I don't think edge players give discounts very much.
I think he's if he stays healthy the rest of the year and plays this way, he's priced himself out of where we're at with where we're at. We can't. All right, that's the comment that I wanted to get to, and I'll say this: you'll find very few people that do shows like this that have been as hard on Marcus Lattimore as I have been. I think he's had some stupid penalties over the years. I think he gets mixed up in some stuff he doesn't need to. Never really came off as a guy that liked to play bang up. I think he has lately. I hope that continues, because he seems to always be banged up, but he is a guy that can shut down A.J. Brown without a doubt if he's right. He'll be coming off 2-week rest, right? So hopefully he's got a game in him. He's 100%. I think he's shown throughout his career that when he's right and we play a number 1 guy, he's going to stay with him and he's going to shut him down, man. He's that guy. I think Brown's a big, strong, physical receiver, and that matches up well with what Lattimore likes to do, because when he gets his hands on you at the line, you don't come off of him very well.
Yeah, and Adebo
he's got tackle too. He's got tackle because AJ Brown will catch some of those slants.
Oh yeah,
and
you can't miss.
He'll be on the hip, so he's got a tackle. Because we can expect him to be out there by himself on quite a few plays. I assume.
And Adebo can play physical too. McKinstry can play
Adebo's
physical.
a big dude.
Yeah,
I was looking at
they
that
can
today.
all
It
play
looks like a big
physical, and
dude on that field.
you got to be physical with Brown. You have to,
Yep.
because if not, he's going to be physical with you, and you're going to be in for a long day. The thing about Brown is, yeah, he does have those, 4 for 30 games that show up, but if um, just being that big and physical with some speed, he's another one that's he's not quite the same eliteness as a Tyreek Hill or a CD Lamb, so to speak, but yeah, he can hurt you. So it's a grind to play him, even when you got his number for a while. He can go off real quick,
Right.
So
He's
you're
a
in for a long day
yeah.
when you're
He's a
dealing with him.
and he's a big yard per catch guy, and it's because he catches those balls and breaks tackles, and he'll turn an 8-yard gain into 50.
Yeah,
You've got to make that tackle. At least set him off the route to where somebody else can come up and finish off the tackle. But I think Lattimore's that guy. Um, not as comfortable with the Debo being one-on-one with him, but I think if you put a Debo on the line, he can at least take him off his route. You're not going to beat him every time. Nobody beats those guys every time. That's why they get paid a bunch of money. That's why they first round picks in fantasy, and they throw up 1,500 yards every year now. They made it a passing league as much as the quarterbacks have. So I think you got to be realistic and say he's going to get his catches, but can we limit him to 5 for 40 or 5 for 50 instead of 5 for 120?
yeah.
That's what it
Keep the
comes
big,
down to with those Philly receivers.
yeah.
Look,
Keep him away from the big play if you can.
Yeah, there's games where Hurts will complete 22, 23 passes, and he'll only have 160 yards. And those are the games you got to get out of him to really shut down that offense. I love the way that we're playing against the run right now. I know we haven't faced anybody close to Saquon yet, but I absolutely love the way that we are playing against the run. You score points on offense. We can definitely score on Philly's defense. You score points on offense, and we see how fast it becomes a one-dimensional game on the other side of the ball, and that makes it a lot easier to coach against.
Yeah. The offense is going to have to definitely keep it up because I think it's just really hard to keep Philly off the board. Now that they've added Barkley, I think he makes a big difference in them to really have that kind of running back now. Kind of balances their offense a little bit, and Hurts doesn't have to do as much running the ball, I think, as he had to do the last couple of years, which makes him even more scary because now you put him in a position where he can pick his spots. And that's where I think he's really dangerous, where I can pull this thing and I'm running and shake loose on you.
I worry more about what Barkley brings to the table next week than I do anybody else. Going into today, did you see anybody that you would have said, okay, I think that guy could shut down CD Lamb? I know if you look at the stats and you didn't watch the game, you might say, oh, look, he had a lot of yards. Well, he had that one big play where we missed a tackle. We had 2 guys right there, right? We had a great catch picking it out there, and then we had 2 guys right there that missed a tackle. But outside of that, man,
he didn't do much.
Only thing you don't remember him doing much of anything except getting blasted in the end zone. And you come out playing like that against these guys, same result, And, like we talked about a minute ago, I think the attitude is right now. The attitude is, keep good. Keep talking about A.J. Brown. Watch what I'm going to do to him when he comes across the middle, right? Or watch when he tries to get off the check that I'm putting on him at the line. And A.J.'s, I don't know. He can be taken out of games mentally. We've seen him have some issues on the sidelines before when he's not getting the ball or he's not getting open. Whether it's at a quarterback or him just getting upset with himself and not being in a big place. At Sirianni, right? Like we've seen it.
At the end of last year, we saw it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's got to be the state of mind going into next week is we don't care who's coming in the dome. We're going to play our game. We're going to do what we've been doing. And like I said to start the show, we're the best team in NFL right now. We're going to go show it in week 3.
Most points scored. So, hey. Probably a good time to end this because this is the last thing I'm gonna say about watching it with brother-in-law today. Very late in the game, kind of sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm almost scared to say this out loud, but after these first two games, what this is reminding me of, and without missing a beat, he goes 2009. And I went, yeah, the start of 2009. Literally seconds later on the
Yeah,
screen, they popped up that we scored 93 in the first two games in 2009 and 91 in the first two. And I'm like, all right, well, it's out there now, so we can talk about
yeah.
it. It's been put out there. So because I was like scared to mention that, but I was like, I get that similar. And I am not saying we're going
I,
to win a Super Bowl this year by any stretch. I'm saying it's a very similar feel where we went in with high expectations, but in the first two games, we're like, whoa, they so far exceeded our expectations. It's,
right. I'd be curious to
it's
see if we
amazing.
gave up only 29 points in two games, the first two games of 2009, because
That's a good question.
it's
I have
both
to go
sides of the
look that
balls
up.
right now, right? It's
Yeah.
not just where we at 91 points. It's we're giving up 29, and we're only giving up 2 touchdowns a game right now. We're averaging 6, 7. You know,
Yep.
it,
And
it,
look, let's be
it's
honest.
it's both sides, right? And they've played well together. That locker room is probably very fun right now.
I'd imagine so. And let's be honest about the
And look,
points
I'll
Dallas.
say this too: we got a lot of clowns out of the locker room. I know people love Jameis and his antics sometimes and the fun stuff. And think about how odd our locker room and our quarterback was last year when you had Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston in it together with Derek Carr,
Yeah.
who's struggling, running for his life, and the most hated man. I mean, there were some terrible things about Derek Carr at Party Girl last year on some of those foots. Like, let's be honest here. And now we've got a couple of young guys in there that seem to be students of the game and learning, and a quarterback that wants it's the locker room is completely overhauled. And even though it's a lot of the same guys, we got out some of those
I
those
think there
guys
were some
that
bad
they might not
actors
be
in there.
bad. Yeah, they might not be bad characters, but they're not team, right? Like they're not a piece to the puzzle.
Yeah. I would say this. I don't know specifically who they are, so I wouldn't want to throw names out there. But I would say would probably there was a few that got worked out sort of out of the locker room. But I think there were some fence sitters. I think that was kind of what the really was going on in the locker room, where just a little topsy turvy with everything going on, and you could see their comments post games, a lot of the games last year about some of the comments they were making, and it just kind of needed to, I say bad actors in the sense you're right. I think they were a little more worried about, as they say, the name on the back of the jersey than they were on the front,
Right,
the team name on the front.
right.
That sort of thing. I don't think it was very many of them. But I think since then, and then with this new offensive philosophy and with this new attitude they were bringing in, kind of just got everybody back together. And not that I don't think people didn't listen to like DeMario or Cam Jordan, but I think sometimes it was hard for them to get their attention. I think that's gone.
Right.
You know, kind of that play, that clownishness that you was just talking about. That's
Yeah,
all out of there. It's now it's more of a business. Now these guys can, you know, we've got everybody's attention. We're on the same page. We're moving together in the right way. And that's what it has to be. Everybody's got to be pulling the
right.
same direction.
And look, when you got those guys like Cam and Mario, and you have that stuff going on, and the result on the field is not good at all, and it's up and down, and win 2 and lose 3, and win 1 and lose 2, and win 2 and lose 3. Like, man, you could see it on them last year where they just look like, hey, why am I doing this at this age? And I get it. You understand it. And from our side, we're going, why are those people in that locker room? Why are we waste? Why would we have players that are our guys, our players? Do we waste the last 3 years of their careers all the time?
Yeah.
And I think those dudes are rejuvenated. They look like it on the field. I mean, Cam is like I said last week, he ain't getting to people like he once got to people, which we can't expect him to do. But he is chasing people like he has always chased people, and he's causing some havoc back there. And I think that has a lot to do with what he's walking in and out of that building every day.
Yeah.
So kudos to them, man, because I agree. DA had no clue how to get a hold of that locker room last year. That locker room ran him. They ran to the media. They talked about him. It was almost like it was two different.
There's a lot of noise. Yeah, it was just a lot of noise, and I think that's all got cleared out, and they're all pulling in the same direction, which is
when you win in, the noise clears out, but the noise hasn't been there all preseason. It's all been positive, and we've been going, okay, positive. And now we're like, oh man, they were being honest. Like we have a team. It's been a while since we had a team.
And the true test is going to come when we do get tested. We have could be this week with Philly, could be when we go to Atlanta, could be when we go to KC. But when you have that game where you're just totally punched in the mouth, how you respond? Are you able to pull the game out? If you're not, if you don't, or are we going to get back in that pattern of win 2, lose 2? So Philly coming in right now is a good test on a lot of different levels, because that's going to tell you a lot about what kind of team character you do have, you think you have. I feel pretty sure we have. But there's a test that's going to find out. And if you handle the test, hey, it's all good.
Got to be there for it. Got to say, hey, man, everybody's going to pick them. They're going to be a favorite in our dome. Even though we've proven ourselves so far this year to be able to put it on anybody. So you got to be up for the challenge. You got to take that and take it personal. I'll say this, and this will be my last thing. There will be a completely different side of me on this show if we take care of Philly next week and go to Atlanta 3-0 and lose. We can't lose to the Falcons. Not if we're never lose to the Dirty Birds. They can't be the one to knock us off the train.
No. Well, and look, we said last week we got to be at least 2-2 when we go into Kansas City on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished. And I think right now is, I don't want to look too far ahead towards the Dirty Birds, but that's a game that's kind of moving into a must-win now, in the sense of where you beat Carolina, you beat the Dirty Birds, and then you've got Tampa coming up short a couple weeks after that going. If you go lock down those first 3 division games, we got a game stolen at Dallas, and I know I'm jumping ahead and skipping over Philly, and we still got to play them. But just in the scheme of things, if you can't hold serve against Philly and Kansas City, you're going to be dogs in both those games. Let's be honest.
Right.
You still set up where you need to be, getting into that part of the schedule where you're like, which will be another test of the team when, quote unquote, the schedule gets easier, but you don't let up and take your foot off the gas. And we go back to that win 2, lose 2 bullshit, So there's some traps coming in here and a lot of tests for them to prove. But I feel like, unlike the last couple of years, this team is built and equipped to handle it.
Right. I agree.
And they have to handle it, because they're going to get some adversity coming. Well, there should be more this week, just by virtue of who you played. So actually the next 2 out of the next 3 weeks, you're going to run into that kind of scenario. So got a deal. But I'm going to leave you on this thought that initially, like I said, when we started this, I picked Dallas by touchdown. I think I had 31-24, something like that. So when I'm over at brother-in-law's house, get there, and we're kind of talking before the game started, I said, the one thing I want to see, because I know we're playing a good team, I just want to see, like, what we're trying to do is working. So even if we get out of here and we end up losing, as long as we didn't give the game away or get pounded, but we were in a game, in a tough game on the road, coming up a little short. I don't believe in moral victories. I'd still been pissed we lost, but I'd at least had the sensation of, like, what we're doing has a chance to work this season.
Right.
Yeah, they exceeded that so far, because I'm like, okay, this shows me this definitely has a chance to work this season. So now let's go prove it against this schedule, this part of the schedule that's coming up in the next couple of weeks. But let's really nail it in the coffin that we're for real. Let's go make some noise.
My prediction for today was 23-13 23-19 Saints. So I hit on the Cowboys side of things, but I did
Oh,
not
drill bet.
see us
No.
get to 44, right? I'll go next week, and I think we're going to put up some points. I think we're going to see another blowout here. I'm going to go 37-23 Saints.
Oh,
I feel we're rolling right now. I don't think we're going to hit 40 again. But I think it's going to be very similar. I think we're going to come out fast. We'll get a big lead. And right now, the run game kind of has me where I'm at with the score. So I feel like we're going to move the ball enough to score points on majority of our drives.
That's going to be the key.
Get one or two turnovers here or there and set yourself up with a short field, make things easier. But yeah, I think we continue to put up points. The only thing I think if we get thrown off of points next week is if Philly's running the ball on us and kind of takes over some of that clock control that we have dominated through 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, I think right now at this point in the NFL, early in the season, and I don't know this for sure. This is more of a gut feeling. Scoring's down a little bit. Offense appears to be down a little bit, but it seems like the teams that can run the ball right now in these first 2 weeks, they're the ones that, even like I was watching a little bit of the KC game today. It looks like KC was struggling a little bit, but all of a sudden Pacheco starts gashing them for some yards in the second half.
Smash it, yeah.
Yeah, that offense kind of clicks in a little bit, settles in, and they end up pulling the game out. So
offense is definitely down in the NFL this year, and the Houdads have not gotten the memo. And I hope we stick with that.
Amen to that one. That's a bless you boys, amen moment right there. Going, nope. Keep that memo the hell away from the dome right now, because I'm really loving this offense. So, yes, Northern saying end on that. That's a good one to end on. Nothing is truer than these words, because I hate freaking losing to the Dirty Birds. So yeah, that's a good one.
We'll take care of Philly first. Yeah, we'll take care of Philly first. We'll come back and talk Dirty Bird after that.
Yep. So, great win today. Great time. Glad you could make it tonight, Jason, because I knew this was going to be a fun one. I'm watching that game going, oh yeah, this is going to be a fun one tonight. And last thing to the subscribers and all that were in the chat, because my video yesterday got some Cowboy trolls. Northern St. Julius Rickles and a few other guys who I'm sorry, I don't remember your handles, but yeah, y'all handle business. I didn't even have to get involved. It's like, go check in a little bit. And they're all over those Dallas guys coming in. And I'm like, man, these guys are great. They're just
awfully quiet tonight.
Yep. I didn't see any of them show up here tonight for this show, but I can't blame them, because they were talking a lot of Yang and none of it paid out. 44-19. So I think that's going to be about it. I think we're pretty much at our time limit. So thank you everybody for joining. Please go ahead. Make sure you bang the like button before you leave tonight. Thank you, Jason, for showing up. Another great night. And I'm like,
got it, man.
We've done 2 of these and we're 2-0. So I'm thinking 15 more to go plus playoffs. So just make sure you keep your Sunday nights open. So this seems to be working on many levels. So I'm going to keep throwing them out there, and hopefully they keep winning day of. So
no doubt.
Good night, everybody.
All right, guys.
So I'll see you next time. Peace out. Who dat?
Let's go.